Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's PGI Q&A session. Today we have Arash online with us, ready to answer all of our submitted questions. Arash, are you ready to get started?
I am, Kira.
All right, great. Our first question comes from David. How can I know that my marketing and business activities are in full harmony with the vision so that every decision I make will lead to inevitable success?
Well, David, with everything you're doing, you've got to trust the feel of it first. Bob always taught me that you'll always know the truth because the truth resonates with the essence of who we are, and that works just as well in your marketing. You'll know how it feels, and if you're getting resistance from it, you're going to know that it's not in harmony with your vision, okay? And every decision you make, you want to trust it. And you may make some mistakes along the way, but you're going to learn from those. That's what will inevitably lead you to your success going forward.
All right, our next question comes from Daniel. Since I'm a dad, I'm always afraid of not supporting my family and even worse, not to be there for them. I like to plan everything. How can I get this out of my mind?
Well, first of all, you've got to stop having the image that in reminding yourself that you're afraid of not supporting them, because you're going to create that actual thing in your life of not being able to support them. Creating an image in your mind that you're always going to support them and that you have an abundance for your kids and your whole family, your wife, if you're married. And Daniel, get rid of that image of don't even think twice and don't have another thought again about not being able to support your family. You know, you might want to create an affirmation for yourself, something to the point of, I'm so happy and grateful now that my family is fully supported. Every day, our lives continue to get better and better, and we live in avalanches of abundance.
All right, our next question comes from Tuong, who asks, how can we affirm our goal in the present tense when we add the target date in the sentence, by date, I will? If we take off the target date, it's easier to feel the present tense. Would this help or hurt to remove a desired time frame?
Well, one of the things that I do, Tong, is I never put I will. It's always I am. So even my goal right now, it's by August 31st, 2019 or sooner, I'm so happy and grateful that I am earning, if it's an income goal. So I never put will, because you want to keep it in the present tense, okay? And I will is not in the present tense. So I've been doing this the same way for 10 years. I actually understand your question pretty clearly, because I had the same question years ago. And when Bob and I were discussing it, that's how he recommended that I did it.
All right, our next question comes from Daniel. My partner and I have a company. Since I'm in BPC, my goals are bigger than his. How can I get in harmony with the goals in our company? He doesn't know that I'm doing BPC.
Okay, so my first question would be to you. I actually have a question. Are you afraid to tell him you're in BPC? That's number one, okay? And I wouldn't be unless you feel like he's going to be negative towards it. That's the first thing. And you can build your partner up by the person you become. You don't even need to share it, but you want to focus on creating the image of the business that you want, okay? And you will eventually lead him, and he's going to pick up your energy. So you want to hold that clear image of the goal that you see for your company. And it's okay that he doesn't see it yet. He will by the environment you're creating for yourself. And you want to get in harmony with your goal. You know, don't have any resistance. Don't let anybody get in your way. You know, Bob just did a program called Living the Legacy. And in the first part of it, it's on desire. He says, you don't let anything and anyone get in the way of your goals, okay?
All right, our next question comes from Isabel. I've never heard you talk about astrology, and I'm intrigued. Can the planets, their position, and eclipses have an impact on our lives? Is this governed by one of the universal laws?
You know, I am going to have to pass on this question, Kira and Isabel, because I am not well attuned to astrology, so I don't think I would give an accurate answer.
All right, we'll move on to the next question from Sharon. During image visualization, when other thoughts come to mind, how do you direct the distracting thoughts and get back to the original image visualization?
Sharon, all you have to do is say, oh, that's interesting. And it's like you're watching cars drive on a freeway. You just let the thought pass just like you let the cars pass, okay? And then get back to the original image, because when we're visualizing, if you have not done this consciously for a practice of a long period of time, it's a mental muscle. Just like if you were exercising and you were just getting back, let's say you didn't exercise for 6 months or a year, and you were just getting back, you wouldn't be as strong as you will be in a few weeks. It's the same thing. So don't put any energy on it. Just say, oh, that's interesting, that thought came, and get back to your original image.
All right, our next question comes from Graham McCrum. First question is, what has being rich in a monetary sense meant for you personally?
For me personally, it's the person I've become. When I first was on the opposite ends of this, I thought creating wealth was, something that I'd be able to buy different things and travel different things, which is true. But the greatest part of, I'm going to use the word wealth, you say rich, but the greatest part of creating wealth has been the habits I've created, the person I've become, and all the wonderful things that I've grown into, more than the actual monetary sense. And I'm very grateful for the monetary part. I don't want anyone to misunderstand that. However, Bob told me a long time ago, he said, you won't be able to understand this right now, but you will as you create it. It's the person you become in the process that is going to be the biggest, the most important thing for creating wealth.
All right, our second question here is, do you put aside a set monthly amount of money for charity, or what does philanthropy look like for you?
I absolutely put a set aside. I have it automatically coming out to the charities that I donate to. And, I donate to Cynthia Kersey's cause, at the Unstoppable Foundation, and they take out a certain amount. And I also donate to, animal shelters, and they take out a certain amount. It's just automatic, so I don't even think about it. It just automatically comes out.
All right, our next question is from Jep, who asks, as refers to in TIR, how do you wake up a person with sound beliefs that are not integrated into their behavior? For example, a network marketer that keeps setting a big goal, but the results have not improved for 10 years.
Well, Jep, I think the key here, when you're helping anyone, to wake somebody up, you've got to create an impact with them inside. So you've got to get them to understand what they really want and how they can achieve it, and that there's going to be a commitment to getting there. And you want to really show them, and you've got to be honest with them. You've got to say, listen, for 10 years you've been setting this goal. It doesn't mean you can't achieve it, but it's like what Wallace Waddell says in The Science of Getting Rich, that you have to do things in a certain way. So you're coaching them on really leading them to understanding what they need to alter to really alter their consciousness and alter their paradigm to really wake them up. Because, what we have to understand, for 10 years if somebody's been setting this goal, to me, they've never been committed to it. Okay, that's a big goal for 10 years, setting the same goal. So is it a goal or is it a wish or hope? With my experience, I actually know Jep. My experience, Jep, is really get deep inside of them and get them emotionally involved to why they want to achieve that goal, and then show them the gap from where they are to where they want to go.
All right, our next question comes from Mira, who asks, hi, I'm a restaurant owner and I would like to open new different restaurants. Also consider starting other new businesses. My question is this a C-type goal?
Well, since you're a restaurant owner and you'd like to open new different restaurants, I wouldn't consider it a C-type goal, because you already know how to open restaurants. So if you want other new businesses and you really want to think, when your C-type goal, to really understand this, it's a goal that you really want that you've never achieved. It is going to stretch you. It is going to get you comfortable being uncomfortable. If you want to ask yourself, if you have a C-type goal, when you wake up in the morning, does it inspire you? Does it make you really on top of your game, like so inspired of what you're doing that day? If you know how to do it, it's not a C-type goal.
All right, our next question comes from Curtis. My goal is to commit to daily studies of the program. I believe this will attract everything I want in my life. I'm having trouble getting a clear way to visualize this. Can you help or have feedback?
Well, first thing I would recommend you do is get out a piece of paper and write, I'm so happy and grateful now, and write a vision of your life the way you want it to be, okay? And I do agree with you that you can attract everything you want in your life by studying these programs, okay? Because we have infinite potential. We just got to bring out the potential in ourselves, okay? And with these programs, because I have done this coaching program over and over again, it changed my life dramatically. And it will change yours dramatically. But start out by getting a picture in your mind, but you can't get a picture until you write it out on paper. So write it out. Maybe let your imagination go. Maybe it's 2-3 pages, okay? Then record that. There's an app that I like to use. It's called Voice Loop. Record it. Listen to that recording of what you wrote down for 10 minutes a day. The repetition of getting this image into your mind over and over and over again, then you're going to get really clear when you go to sleep at night or when you wake up in the morning in your visualization. But I would do a combination of first writing it, then recording it, then listening to it over and over again. And think about what you want all day long.
All right, our next question comes from Victor. How can I overcome my fear of not achieving my goal? I'm afraid because I have failed in the past.
Victor, this is very normal. First of all, you've got to become what you want. Whatever happened in the past does not matter. You don't want to create the past and the future by keep focusing on what you didn't do, okay? Remember this phrase, let the dead bury the dead, okay? Let the past die because it's gone. What you want to do is kind of like what I was telling Curtis. You want to create an image. Write the same thing I just told Curtis. Write out a script of your life and record it and listen to it 10, 15 minutes a day and listen to it over and over and over again. Your fear is outweighing your desire right now, okay? And you've got to let your desire drive you, not your fear. If you start doing this with the repetition is what's going to increase your awareness, okay? And as you do the repetition of this and get emotionally involved with what you want, don't spend another day of thinking about what you don't want.
All right, our next question comes from Joseph. I'm struggling with my use of marijuana. I've been going back and forth. What advice do you have for someone who may have an addiction?
Well, in terms of this addiction, the first thing you have to do, Joseph, is make a decision. You've got to make a decision and you've got to stick with it, okay? You've got to say, I am not doing this no matter what. And when you do that, it's going to make a big change. There is somebody that I'm coaching right now who was really addicted to marijuana. And I told him, you have to make an absolute decision within yourself that I'm not doing this. And you've got to stick with it. The first 30 days are going to be the most challenging. Things in the beginning, when you're making a change, is hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, then amazing at the end. And you could look at your life and think, forget about the marijuana, use it for another thing. If you look at your life, you'll see something that you made a change that you were proud of. And replace the marijuana with something else, okay? Because you know nature abhors a vacuum. I'm sure you've heard Bob talk about that, okay? So replace the marijuana, maybe you use it with gum. But if you really want to get rid of it, you've got to make a firm decision to yourself and you've got to stick to it. And this decision is going to lead into other decisions that are going to continue to empower you.
All right, our next question comes from Noah. In regards to Phil Goldline, what are the exact instructions given to him at the beginning of his study with you that impacted his income and career? The specifics, that I can employ in my career.
I'm also going to have to pass on this one because I'd rather Bob share that story than myself.
Okay. Our next question comes from Monica. How do I become more open to people, more sociable, and overcome a lack of self-confidence?
You know, Monica, what you want to do is, in Think and Grow Rich, there's a self-confidence formula, okay? I want you to write it out, and I want you to 2 times a day. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says read it out loud once a day. I want you to do it twice a day, okay? As you become more confident in yourself, you're going to open yourself up and be more sociable. All of these connect with each other. But also, just like I was telling Joseph about the marijuana, make a decision to yourself that you are really going to focus on your self-image and focus on really becoming the person you want, which is confidence. I don't want you to think for another second that you don't have confidence. It's inside of you. We just got to bring it out. Somewhere along the line, somebody told you that created this, okay, the different things that happen throughout your life. But I would recommend you get the self-confidence formula and you read it twice a day.
Monica's second question is, my goal is to become a PGI consultant, but I'd like to finish the coaching program first. So recently I started promoting PGI programs through ClickBank. I'd like it to be my primary source of income for the time being. Could you please suggest an affirmation to attract more customers and make sales? Also, should I treat this online business as a goal?
Well, I have a twofold answer for you, Monica. First of all, if you really want to be a PGI consultant, make a decision and do it. You know, and I would really encourage you to do it and don't wait, because we don't want the ideas to stay stillborn, okay? And remember, it's a start that stops most people. That'd be my first thing. Second thing, an affirmation for you regarding getting more customers and making sales. Say, I'm so happy and grateful now that sales keep flowing in every day. Every day, my online sales keep increasing in great quantities, and my business keeps getting better and better, and it feels so great that I'm a Procter Gallagher consultant.
All right, our next question comes from Brendan. Why is desire deemed as an obstacle to reaching higher levels of consciousness in many spiritual teachings, yet to advocate desire as the fuel to reaching higher levels of consciousness?
Well, I can't really speak of other teachings because I don't know what teachings you're referring to, Brendan. But what I will tell you is desire is the starting point of all achievement. Napoleon Hill talks about it very clearly. Bob talks about it very clearly. You know, without a desire, the desire is in your subconscious mind, okay? And remember, our subconscious creates 96 to 98% of all of our results, perceptions, and behavior. Before you can get to a desire, you have to have your want, which your want is in your conscious mind. And with the repetition of putting your want over and over again and really seeing yourself have it over and over and get emotionally involved in it, it turns into a desire. Well, when you have a desire, what's happening is it's a different energy fuel, okay? Think about a time, Brendan, when you had no desire to when you had a desire. You're operating on a completely different level of frequency.
All right, our next question comes from Ziad, who asks, how can we earn our yearly income as a monthly income? Can you please elaborate on this?
Well, to turn your annual income into your monthly income, the best way that I did it, and I've been blessed to do it a few times, is number one, you have to shift your paradigms, okay? Everything starts in the mind. And so what happens is as you're changing your paradigms, and you're going to know if your paradigms are shifting because of how you feel and that your results are changing, okay? And, you know, it's going to seem so unreal to you. At least it did for me. It seemed so unreal. I thought it was like a pie-in-the-sky thing, but I just kept doing the little things, kept studying every day, did what Bob instructed me to do, and I kept going over and over and over and keep doing the study because he kept hammering into me that I have to study an hour a day. Then all these opportunities started coming. Then what happened is you look back a year from now, 2 years from now, and then you'll be blown away by how this happens. So I will tell you this, and I tell people this all the time. It's not this one big idea that's going to turn your annual income into your monthly income. It's the little things, the disciplines, the habits you're creating, compounded over time that are going to create the big results.
All right, our next question comes from Darwin. I've noticed I'm becoming more aware, conscious, and in control, and I love it. However, I still slip off into unconsciousness from time to time. What can I do to remain aware and conscious?
Darwin, keep studying. That's the thing. You're gonna have some slip-ups. That's part of growing, okay? It's not just this one thing that it's not a destination, you're just there, okay? It's a journey that you're gonna keep going. So as you keep changing your awareness, you keep shifting your paradigms, you keep making these changes, what's gonna happen is you're not gonna keep slipping off into unconscious, and your focus is gonna be better. See, what you're talking about is your focus is drifting off. Well, keep studying. Do not beat yourself up, and just understand it's a process, okay? If you look at yourself right now, Darwin, from today, and your level of awareness compared to 90 days ago, that's what you want to remember. Keep making yourself feel good and look back, because that's how you're going to see it. Everyone who's listening on this call, keep doing things that are going to make you feel good, because as you feel good, you're going to do good, and your attitude is that's in control of everything. So even if you have a slip up, don't beat yourself up. Just say, oh, that's interesting. I got to get back at it, okay? Because every time we beat ourselves up, we're chipping away at our self-esteem.
All right, our next question comes from Marla. I'm interested to know Bob's process when he first began studying this material. Actually, it looks like this one is geared towards Bob, so we'll go ahead and save that for the next call.
Okay.
Let's move on to Sangram's first question. What is the purpose of human life? We Hindu believe in Moskva. I apologize if that's mispronounced. Is this real?
I can't comment on Moskva because I'm not aware of what that is. In my opinion, this is just solely my opinion, I solely believe that the purpose of human life is growth and service. I think we are here to learn a lot of things in this journey and continue to grow and continue to service people. I think there's no accident why one of the #1 keys of success is the impression of increase, which is leaving everyone better off than we found them. So in my opinion and my belief system, Sangram, it is to grow and to service.
All right, their next question is, my wife is depressed at the moment. How can I overcome this?
Well, we got to find out why your wife is depressed. And usually people are depressed because they're suppressing their emotions. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, does your wife have a goal she's working on? If we're not working towards something, we're working away from it, and there's no inspiration. You know, we are here, kind of your first question is for growth, in my opinion. So whenever I'm working with a client that is depressed, I always get back to getting them to express their feelings, okay? And really getting them to express their feelings, not just pretending, you know? And some people don't like doing it because it's a learned behavior. And I remember I was working with Bob at our Matrix event with a client, and he said, have him go and grab a pillow, literally grab a pillow, and scream in the pillow if he doesn't want to express himself in front of other people, you know? And it was such a great, it's a great tool for anyone. But I would really, when you're asking your wife, ask her what she wants and really see if you could help her with that by asking her if it was impossible, what would she like to do? You know, but when we don't have a goal, we're just drifting. And if you get in a habit of drifting long enough, it will really create some depression.
All right, our next question comes from Suman, who asks, I have a home skin therapy business. I'm earning very little. What can I improve or change? I have ads on several popular media and ad sites.
Suman, our business is a direct reflection of us. As we grow, so will our business. So what you have to do is change your paradigm. I would spend all your time, if you're doing ads, you know, if you're doing ads on several popular media and ad sites, the ads are the problem. And we need to look at your attitude too. Are you letting your income from the business control your thinking, or are you holding the image of what you want? I will tell you this I've been there, and I will tell you this very clearly. If we want to change anything, it's not always us, it's not the outside, and it always comes down to the paradigm. And I know in this coaching program, you're learning a lot about paradigms. What I would encourage you to do is really ask yourself, am I implementing what Bob is teaching, or am I intellectually studying it? Because you'll know because the results will tell you, number one, but are you emotionally involved in your present circumstances, or are you emotionally involved in your desire?
All right, our next question comes from Ionis, who asks, I am in the process of liquidating assets in order to reach my primary goal. I tried to attract the right people and the right circumstances in order to achieve my goals. I have tried some real estate agencies, but I don't really see any traffic. Do you have any suggestions as to what I could be doing wrong?
Well, I'd have to ask you, Lonis, a lot more questions. First of all, let's start by eliminating try from your vocabulary. Try comes from lack and limitation. We don't try. We're either doing or we're not doing, okay? That's the first thing. But in order to achieve your goals, you don't try to attract the right people and right circumstances. You've got to build that image in your mind that you see yourself surrounded by the right people. And you want to create, maybe you have an affirmation you create for yourself to start. You know, I'm so happy and grateful now that everything I touch turns into gold. All my circumstances are wonderful. All the people around me are like-minded, and I'm continuing to grow with them. You know, you want to start creating that, and I'm open to new relationships from all different sources. See, if you start building the right image in your mind, you're going to start attracting what is in the image. So if you look at your results, they get from a neutral place. They'll tell you what image is going on inside of you.
All right, our next question comes from Arlie. How do you deal with not wanting to tell a spouse about the coaching program because he or she voiced it costs too much money? I know it is just their opinion, but I would like to know how to cope.
Well, you know, in my opinion, I don't think you should let a spouse make a decision for you one way or the other. You know, this is how resentments gets built. And I don't think you should hide it either. However, if somebody is not supporting you, then you could show them by the results you're going to create, and 6 months later said, I wanted to surprise you, and I invested in myself for our family, and this is what I created. And instead of coping, because what it sounds like, even if you use the word cope, you're probably having a lot of resistance within your own mind, you know, and if you do that, you may not be getting the best out of the coaching, because on one end you're really into the coaching, on the other end you're into the resistance about the spouse. That's what I would encourage.
All right, our next question is from Merle. Do you schedule any downtime, any time for rest or recreation?
I definitely do. I have rest even throughout my days. You know, I'll go for a couple hours really focused, and I'll take 30 minutes. An hour really focused, then take 15 minutes. You know, it's not about the hours you're working, it's how you're working. You know, the amount of focused attention. Now, in terms of rest and recreation, I think it's crucial, you know, because I think to create great results from my, you know, last several years, you know, I will go really hard for a quarter, then I'll take a vacation. Go really hard again for another quarter, then I'll take a vacation, you know, because I have to re-energize.
All right, our next question comes from Edwin. How do I become more patient? I want to go from lead the field to paradigm shift to PGI consultant. I know I have to be in the same frequency, but how do I control my patience?
Well, you know, I'm not very patient. You know, I can understand that. You know, instead of controlling your patient, I think what you're talking about is you want to go from lead the field to becoming a consultant, okay? So what you want to do is make a decision that says, I'm going to do this no matter what, and a firm decision. And you want to get your mind to understand this. And the only way you get your mind to understand it is to make a firm decision, and your mind will start thinking about how you can, not why you can't. Give yourself a deadline of when you're going to do it, but really commit to it. Don't make this a wish or a hope. You know, see, we want to calm down but hurry up. I'm sure you guys have heard Bob say that several times, you know. But I don't think what your question is really about patience. I think what it is about going and making a decision and showing yourself what you're capable.
All right, our next question comes from Elizabeth. When you read other people's energy, can you also change your energy flow and move it into a higher frequency? When you work with people in your elite coaching programs, I assume you change them.
Well, I'm going to let Bob discuss this one, but I'll say this on the second part. When you work with people in your elite coaching, I assume you change them. They change them. You know, when I did this coaching, I got great results, and I thank Bob. He says, I didn't do it, you did it. I just led you to it. So sure, Bob has changed millions of people's lives, and that's not an exaggeration, and I'm probably on the low end, but the people had the desire to change, and Bob showed them what to do. I think Bob would be the first one to say that.
All right, our next question comes from Chandra. My goal is to sell 10 TIR programs a week. I'm studying TIR and Pathways to Agreement. What are a few things I should be doing every day to achieve my goal?
You want to talk to as many people as you can every day. You want to set up presentations. That's going to get you to your goal. Study Path to Agreement. Study my sales training in there. I have a lot of the top consultants who I've taught them how to master that, and it's there for you, Shonda. So if you study Path to Agreement, my sales presentation, and TIR, but the key is not just studying. You have to go out and talk to people and show them how you can help them change their lives.
All right, our next question comes from Nana. How can I believe in myself that I can generate all the money to feed my family? I find myself in a situation where I have to provide for my whole family, and I'm a full-time mom with a baby.
I think I've answered this in a different way from somebody else earlier. First of all, you can believe yourself. Start using auto-suggestion. Keep repeating an affirmation over and over again, okay? And that you have to provide for your whole family tells us the strength that you have, okay? You can do it in such a great way with effortless ease, okay? But create an affirmation for yourself that I'm similar to this. I'm so happy and grateful now that I believe in myself in every cell of my body. I'm worthy and deserving of all the good that I desire. I am earning X amount of money, whatever your goal is. I am earning X, and I continue to get better and better. My income keeps growing every day. My family is living so wonderfully. Something to that effect. And keep repeating it over and over and over again until you believe it. The repetition is what is going to change the paradigm.
All right, our next question comes from Elizabeth. When I tune into your frequencies, would you be able to change them so I can tune into my real me and be very successful?
Once again, if you guys are talking into Bob's frequency, I'm going to let Bob answer those questions.
Okay. Maria asks, I want to learn how to expand my imagination and visualization with pictures like you mentioned. Could you provide some guidance on how to do this?
I asked that same question, Maria, to Bob years ago, and he had me study Stella Adler's book, The Art of Acting, and he said, read this, and you have to become an actor or actress like this is your movie, okay? He said, but read this, and this will change your understanding of visualization. See, and I think Neville, in The Power of Awareness with Awake Imagination, says it the best. He says, you want to come from the wish fulfilled. When you're coming from already living in that picture, that's how you can do it. And if you haven't gotten the book yet, I recommend you get the book from Neville on this. This will really help you as well. It's called The Power of Awareness with Awakened Imagination.
All right, our next question comes from Ian. What is the best way to increase my awareness and develop my perception in identifying potential MSIs? The opportunities I've been exposed to don't emotionally excite me or are not scalable, so I'm not interested.
That's a great question. So the first thing is, just because the opportunities don't excite you, don't worry. Just keep opening the space for them. Then the right opportunities will come. Now, the best way to increase your awareness and develop your perception, see, you already have a perception just by the second part of your question. You're saying, I have these possible MSIs, but they don't excite me. What I would do is create an image in your mind that you're already operating with MSIs, okay? So it's already there. Start creating this vision in your mind that you have 5 MSIs right now, and they're earning you whatever that it is you want to earn, okay? And if you keep the repetition of that, you're going to attract the things that you're in harmony with that will eventually do that, as long as you emotionalize that and don't give up on it. What happens is most people are giving up way before the seed is about to sprout for them, you know? And I love the story about the bamboo tree. You know, for years, it doesn't grow at all. Then, I think it's after 4 years, it sprouts 80 feet in the air, you know? But if you look at us, we're marketed every day that lose 14 pounds in 10 days, you know, or get rich quick. See, you have to not focus on, you want to focus on the process and really know that you're already there. That's why you have to create the image from the place.
All right, our next question comes from Bertha. What can you do when you're on a day where you feel angry with everybody and everything that others do bother you? Is it difficult to change the attitude and recognize that what is happening in me at the moment?
Well, Bertha, the first thing I would recommend you do is write out serenity in As a Man Thinketh for 90 days. Unless it's changed, I'm pretty sure you guys have access to it in the back office for the coaching. I would write that out. Bob has taught me anybody that I've ever coached who gets angry with everybody, like you're saying, is really create a calm mind for yourself. And you're not going to like this exercise, I promise you. You might do it for a week and you'll be like, oh, this isn't working. Keep doing it. You might be at 44 days and you'll be like, oh, I'm halfway, that's good. No, do it for a full 90 days. It'll make a huge difference and really around your anger and turn it into a calm mind, and you will start responding instead of reacting by doing this.
All right, our next question comes from Sergio. I tend to get a bit distracted at times with my goals, and I'm very aware of it. I have a plan, but there are days when it's hard for me to achieve my goals and stick to my plan. What do you suggest for me to do? How do I overcome this battle and stay consistent with my goals?
Well, Sergio, what it sounds to me like is you're not emotionally involved with the goal right now. You're doing things to check off a box, and what you want to do is get really emotionally involved. And for me, the best thing that I've ever done is auto-suggestion to get emotionally involved with my goal. I'll literally say it for 5 minutes a day in front of the mirror over and over again, okay? Then I go to my day. And then at night, write out your 6 goal-achieving activities for the next day. And you don't go to number 2 until you finish number 1. And if you get in a habit of doing this, you're not going to get distracted. These two exercises that I gave you are pure gold. I can tell you I've done it myself, and I've helped a lot of people do the same.
All right, our next question comes from Heather. What 3 techniques can I apply to break a deeply entrenched money paradigm? I believe and see the money as the time gets closer to deliver the money to others. I get a sick pit in my stomach because I don't see the money in the bank account, which I know is not real reality. The real reality is that it's there. I tell myself it's there. I repeat my thankfulness and gratitude that it's available in abundance. What is causing that sick pit of stomach feeling?
Well, the thing that's causing that sick pit of the stomach is your paradigm. It's your relationship to money. So you have to change your relationship to money. You know, I'll give you a couple exercises that I personally did that really changed for me. Start spending $1,000 a day in your mind. And I'm not saying spending the real, but in your mind it doesn't know if it's real or imagined. Like if you're driving and you see a nice car, say to yourself, I could pay for that. Literally start spending $1,000 in your mind. See, money has ears. It's going to run the other way if you don't have a good relationship to it, okay? And with that sick pit of the stomach feeling, you definitely don't have a good relationship to it. So if I was a friend of yours and I treated you poorly, you wouldn't want to stay being friends with me. Well, it's the same thing with money. So you've got to create an understanding that money just is, it's energy. It just is. It's not good or bad. But your relationship with it needs to change. And as you change the relationship with it, everything will change. And I know I'm sounding probably like a broken record, but I encourage you to create a money affirmation that will help you. I'll give you one just off the top of my head. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have an abundance of money in my bank account. Money loves coming to me in great abundances. I use money for good. I release it easily and effortlessly, and it constantly circulates in my life. You know, you want to really create this, because as much as you say it's not real, the pit in your stomach feeling, you're bringing it. You're creating something that's real for you. And I was talking earlier about being emotionally involved with what we want. Well, we can easily be emotionally involved in what we don't want and bring that into our life.
All right, our next question comes from Erden, who asks, my financial goal for this year is to hit 50,000 online. I've been doing visualization and affirmation morning and evening for more than 60 days. What would you recommend for me to do to expand on that?
Well, I think I'd have to ask you some more questions on this. So right now, where are you starting at? Okay, that would be my first question. Continue doing the visualization and affirmation. Are you working with somebody and learning from somebody who's earning 50K or more online? Or are you winging it? I would recommend you always find a mentor in the area, especially with online, because online businesses are wonderful. And however, you know, you have to learn how to do it properly, because you could spend a lot of money in mistakes. So I'd have to ask you more questions, Arden, to help you more with this.
All right, our next question comes from Annika. How can I make me believing in my big dreams?
Keep creating that image over and over again. Get emotionally involved, Annika, with what you want. See yourself already at the end like you have your dreams. See yourself celebrating with, if you're married, with your husband, or if you're or your family or friends, and see yourself going on a big vacation to celebrate the dreams that you've already accomplished. That's what I would recommend you do.
All right, our next question comes from Zidane. Can you explain how to distinguish between the change in behavior and the change in the paradigm?
They're both. They're very synonymous. A change in behavior creates the change in the paradigm, you know, because remember, our paradigms are a multitude of habits stored in a section of our subconscious mind. And we have all these different habits that constitute the paradigm. You know, as you're changing your paradigms, your behaviors change. Like if I look at myself now from 10 years ago, I mean, I have completely different behaviors. You know, I have completely different behaviors because I have completely different paradigms.
All right, our next question comes from Larissa. How can I tell between my terror barrier and a bad decision? How can I become more ready to receive? What questions should I ask myself daily, and why?
Sure, I'm going to knock these out one at a time, Larissa. The difference between a terror barrier and bad decisions, they're not the same. Terror barrier is fear. You're going up to something you really want, and you're not doing it, or you're doing it because you overcame the terror barrier. A bad decision is something you don't feel good about. But you want to understand, fear is not coming from your highest place. It's coming from your paradigm, okay? That's why if you study the lesson on terror barrier, Bob says you get to this point and you're either going to go into creating freedom or going back into bondage, okay? Now, making a bad decision, you guys, everyone on this call wants to remember this. Bob got this so ingrained in me. You'll always know the truth because the truth resonates with the essence of who we are. You know, and I don't know that there's anything such as bad decisions, because I think we grow from everything, you know, but you want to make sure it feels good to you before you do anything. How can you become more ready to receive? You got to open yourself up to receiving. So keep thinking about what you want and open your reservoir for what you want, okay? Instead of being resistant and blocking it off. That's why I have this policy with myself. I say yes to everything. I can always change my mind, but I always say yes first, and if it doesn't feel right, then I'll change my mind. And what questions you should ask yourself daily and why is, what is it that I really want? And why do I really want that in everything you're doing? So if we go back and use question 3 to question 1, is this my terror barrier or a bad decision? Okay, well, why would this be a bad decision? You'll always know. See, the terror barrier, you get this sick feeling in your stomach, but you really want it. It's like you're excited and scared at the same time. That's when you know something good's about to happen. And I know for a fact that Bob talks about U squared, and in U squared, and the chapter on uncomfortable, Price Pritchett says it beautifully. He says, if you're experiencing no anxiety or discomfort, the risk you're taking isn't worthy of you. The only risks that aren't a little scary are the ones you've outgrown. A high comfort level provides solid evidence that you're playing it safe, not growing, not really testing your limits at all, and not in the process of a quantum leap. He says, you might be making gradual progress. That's possible, but you're not going for a breakthrough. And then at the end of this chapter, he says, it has been said that if you would do the thing you fear, death of fear is certain. Courage is not the absence of fear and anxiety. It's proceeding in spite of those feelings, so press on.
All right, our next question comes from Mark. What is the best habit or practice you can use or create that will create belief in your goal?
It's the auto-suggestion, without a doubt. And that's been my go-to. Like anybody who I've coached or anybody who's heard me speak, it's always auto-suggestion. That's been my go-to. And it was interesting. A couple years ago, we were at an event. Bob was speaking at Carnegie Hall in New York. And somebody asked him in the audience, what is the best practice you've ever done? What was it? And at the time in New York, he said it was auto-suggestion. And Bob and I had never actually discussed that together until after that event. And, it was interesting that we had the same answer for it.
All right, our next question comes from Brian. Much of your training includes the idea of getting wealthy first and then helping others like children, etc. My intuition has brought forth many money-making ideas. Is it still good advice to get financially free first?
Well, your needs have to be taken care of first. And if your needs are not taken care of, you're not going to be able to help people in the way that I want to help people. You can help people at any moment of where you are right now, but I would recommend making sure your needs are taken care of. Then you could and you can have a goal, a philanthropical goal in terms of that. And I think it's actually a great thing to do, even where you're at. Let's say somebody is in a great position, they can create more. But let's say somebody's just starting out. If you put $25 a week towards or a month, and that stretches you, you're still putting so much good out there in terms of your giving.
Brian's second question, how do I determine which money-making ideas should come first?
You just got to keep going with your intuition with it. Just keep trying and keep going after it over and over, different ideas, and see which one you get really emotionally connected with.
All right, our next question comes from Kendra. I know that you've surpassed the whole, actually it looks like this one's geared for Bob, so let's go ahead and skip to Marcus's.
Sure.
I would like to have my own house. How can I visualize to make this happen?
Well, Marcus, the first thing you want to do is go start looking at homes, okay? Go in the home. Go into each room in the home, and if you don't like it, then you go to another home. Ask a realtor to take you. Then what you want to do is start seeing these homes in your mind, the one that you want. And you might have a combination of two that you really like into one. And go in that room, sit in that room, and then like physically sit in that room when you go see the homes, okay? See the walls, the color of the walls, the color of the refrigerator, how big the rooms are, how big the house you want to be. Does the house have a pool? Look at the backyard. And then start visualizing this over and over again.
Marcus's second question is, what other things can I do to help make this happen?
Well, you have to continue to shift. Like if you want to, I'm assuming you don't have a house, so if you want to create a house, you have to shift your paradigm. So through taking action through this coaching program that you're going through, it's essential because Bob is giving you and showing everybody on this call how to create what they want.
All right, our next question comes from Starvayana, who asks, when we go after one goal, the rest fall into place, correct? Please elaborate on how I can stay focused on that when the opportunity demands to take my time and effort consuming actions towards smaller goals.
Well, in the beginning, Brianna, your time and effort when you're making a change and when you're going after your goals, there is going to be a considerable time and effort. But as you get more and more aware and you're shifting your paradigm, because remember, when we shift our paradigm, it's a permanent change, okay? And as you do that, it's not going to be as time consuming. You know, in the beginning, as you're going through your growth process of really creating your success, whatever that means to you, it's going to take more time and effort. You know, but I'm telling you this for 100% fact, as you get more confident and you start achieving more goals, that's going to get easier and easier and more effortless.
All right, our next question comes from Jesper. I keep gaining momentum but seem to fall short 3 feet from my goal continuously. How do I break through? My goals are clear.
How do you know you're falling 3 feet from your goal? That'd be my first question, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It was kind of like I was talking earlier, Jesper, about the bamboo tree. See, you're letting the result dictate whether where the goal is. And remember, there's a law of gender. And as you understand that law more, there's a gestation and incubation period for everything. You say your goals are clear, but what you're doing is you're digging the seed that you're creating right before it's coming. And I remember asking Bob a similar question years ago, and he told me the same thing. He said, well, how do you know? And I said, I guess by the results. He said, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And I'll never forget that. So Jesper, instead of saying you're gaining momentum but falling short, that's a terrible image you're giving your mind. Live and become one with your goal. Right now you're separate from your goal. Become one with it. When you're one with it, you're living with it all day long. I promise you, you're going to get your goals faster than you can imagine.
All right, our next question comes from Faye. My goal is to purchase the home that I currently live in. I keep telling myself that it is mine. How do I keep on track that it becomes mine and I own it?
You've got to, I answered this question from somebody else similarly, is you've got to really live in that home that it's yours. Okay, you've got to make a decision, this is your home, and start playing like the actress. I was telling somebody else on the call to watch The Art of Acting. I'm sorry, not watch, read the book The Art of Acting. You want to become an actress, Faye, and start living in each room of that home. The more you do it, the more you're going to see it.
All right, our next question comes from Zeba, who asks, I'm in a dilemma making a business decision. I'm not a numbers person, but own a property in another city that I have to establish commercially. There is investment involved and day-to-day cash transaction. Therefore, I will have to entrust it to someone. I feel like I'm living inside the terror barrier here each time I enter a business meeting. Please advise me how to make this decision.
Well, first of all, before you make this decision, I would get counsel from people you really trust. You know, so if there's not somebody you trust, okay, then we would have to understand it more to give you better advice on this, okay? And what I'm reading your question again because there's an investment involved in day-to-day cash trend, therefore we'll have to entrust. Yeah, the trust is the key. And, you know, stop living inside the terror barrier. Get really neutral with this, okay? Because if you're living inside the terror barrier, what it sounds like you're in bondage right now. What you want to really do is get a clear image that you're going to make the best decision and really trust your decision. And if it doesn't feel right, don't make a decision at that time, okay? And you really want to get good counsel for this. But on this question, I would also need to know a little bit more information to help you more clearly with it.
All right, our next question comes from Paul. I deliver anger management programs in schools. Young people say dolphins are highly intelligent. When I am talking animalistic reactions, what can I tell them?
I'm trying to understand this question. Young people say dolphins are highly intelligent. When I'm talking animalistic, what can I tell them? I don't really understand this question. Do you understand it, Kira?
Not particularly. We can kind of reach out to Paul after this call to get more clarification on it.
Sure.
So our next question comes from Jason. What is the best way to release guilt and regret over past failure and lost opportunity?
Jason, let it go. Guilt is one of the lowest vibrations. If you are holding on to guilt, you're going to remember we attract what we're in harmony with. First of all, whatever happened in the past, learn from the past, but let it go, and let the dead bury the dead. The past is dead. The only reason that people think so much about the past is they're constantly trying to punish themselves. You want to learn from it, but you've got to move on, or else you're going to continue to keep the past into the future. Same thing with past failures. You're not who you were a year ago, okay? So you want to program your mind with a success consciousness, and that's what you're learning with your work with Bob. So stop thinking about the past, let it go, learn from it, and really get emotionally involved with what you want.
All right, our next question comes from Renetta, who asks, I'm wondering in TIR, why is the part about the life script placed in Lesson 6 instead of Lesson 1? It seems beneficial to do this exercise in Lesson 1 and imagine it in more detail again in Lesson 6, in my opinion.
I'm going to let Sandy and Bob answer that because they created the program.
Okay. Our question from Adam is, I feel that coming out of being on autopilot has made me aware of my thoughts and a calmer person, but having a difficult time deciding on a path in life. What actions can you suggest?
Adam, get out a piece of paper, and on the top of the paper, write out, what is it that I want, okay, in terms of the path you want your life to be. And write 20 things. And in the beginning, the first 5 will probably be easy. Then it'll get harder. Then the next day, do the same thing. Something's going to continue coming to you. Then when you get that answer, get out another piece of paper, separate piece of paper, and write out a script of your life a year from now, 5 years from now, the way you want it to be. And then you could start conditioning your mind with that once you are clear about how you want to live your life and what path it's going to go. You will get clear by it because whenever we write, writing creates feelings. Feelings create actions, and actions create results.
All right, our next question comes from Jennifer. I need some direction. I'm in the consultant program and my results are not to the point I want them financially. I'm doing gratitude, affirmation, and reading daily. I have gotten better on catching myself in my thoughts if my thoughts drift off path. What suggestions can you give?
Well, the first thing is you have to run meetings. Okay, if you're in the consulting program and your results aren't where they are financially, I would ask you, how many meetings are you running every day? See, I think you're doing, just based on what you're saying, you're doing gratitude, you're reading daily, you're studying, but you've got to get out and really present to people and show them how you can help them. The consulting program is the best. I was talking to Bob about this yesterday. I've never seen a business like this. You invest $30,000 for a business that's already set up for you with lifetime training and such the community where you can win in such a big way. It's just getting in front of people and really, and don't worry if you feel like you're not having as much success. The more you do it, the more repetition you do, you're going to continually to get better and better, and then eventually your finances are going to change dramatically. But my guess is, Jennifer, that you're not in front of enough people.
All right, our next question comes from Patricia. When we take a quantum leap and we get our first rejection, should we use the information and submit it somewhere else or start all over again? Do you think that there's ever a time to give up?
No, I don't believe in giving up. If it's something you really want, you never give up. And in terms of rejection, be grateful for the rejection, because success is not anything that you're going to get rejected from time to time. You're going to have your rejections during the day. You want to fail your way forward. Every time you're failing forward, you are one step closer to a massive quantum leap. Don't give up.
All right, our next question comes from John. I'm struggling with writing and repeating affirmations and influencing my subconscious when I write out a goal and put a date on it. It feels strange. How do I stop this?
John, first thing you have to do is decide, are you wanting to change? See, our why has to be stronger than our why not. And in the beginning, when we're changing anything, when we're talking about repeating affirmations, is we have to understand what the reason we're doing it. It is so important. What I would encourage you to do, John, go read the chapter on autosuggestion and Think and Grow Rich so you can understand the power of what repeating your affirmations and influencing your subconscious is. Then you've got to make you've got to turn this into a discipline. You know, and discipline is giving yourself a command and following it. You say, I'm going to do this no matter what. And create an accountability with somebody. Say, can you hold me to doing my affirmations? And when you're doing your affirmations, don't just do them to check off a box. Get really emotionally involved in it. Have great tone in it. And as you do that, that's going to make it, you're going to love doing this. It's going to put you in a whole new vibration. And you're going to see, if you start your day with this, you are going to really want to do this instead of having to be forced to do it.
All right. Well, it looks like we're right at the top of the hour. So I want to thank you so much, Arash, for coming online with us. It was really great hearing all of your answers to all of these phenomenal questions.
All right. Thanks, Kira.
All
I
right. Well,
enjoyed it.
thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful day.